Hi, welcome to True Wellness. Thanks for stopping in today. Today we're going to talk about a subject that usually sends fear into the heart of most of us. And we're going to talk about diet. And when someone says the word diet, most of us feel like, okay, we're going to go through things I can't eat, things I can't have. I'm going to restrict myself to eating nuts and seeds and twigs and leaves. Well, diet is a very, very important thing when it comes to our health, and quite honestly, over the last 15, 20 years that we've been doing this, we honestly believe that no one has yet figured out the perfect diet for people. And that's because we're all a little different and we all need different things. We do utilize the blood type diet to some degree as a guideline, but not as something that's set in stone for people. But generally, eating for our blood types seems to be pretty beneficial for folks in general. But again, we really don't feel like anybody's nailed that whole diet thing down. And so one of the things that have shown up over the past couple of years, or past 4 or 5 years, of course, is the gluten-free diet. And there's lots of different specialized diets out there today. And it's one of the questions we ask everybody when they first come in. Are you following some kind of specialized diet? Because that has consequences to our health, of course. And so there's the gluten-free diet, especially if you're a celiac sufferer. You're going to avoid gluten completely. But there's a lot of people today who are avoiding gluten for general health reasons. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what we have found is that when you decide to avoid gluten, it doesn't mean that you stop eating anything or everything. It just means that you're going from wheat products to other products that are based typically in soy, corn, and rice. And if we dose ourselves with soy, corn, or rice over a long period of time, just like anything else, we're going to create issues for ourselves in health. Corn, soy, and even rice are actually very high on the allergen list. So for a lot of folks, they actually create allergies for people. And anything that we eat consistently will eventually cause some kind of energetic allergy for the body. And the body will start to not have a good reference for that particular food. So if you decide to go gluten-free and it really works for you and your belly's better and it's not a stressful thing for you to get through, we don't have a problem with that. I think today, of course, the wheat has a very high gluten content because of the yield that they want to get out of the crops. And so they keep genetically modifying and crossbreeding different strains of wheat, and they literally build wheat that has a very high gluten content in it. It's very healthy in the fields, but it's hard for human beings to break all that gluten down, all that protein. It's the protein in wheat is what we're really talking about. And so, again, if avoiding that, and I think avoiding a lot of gluten for most folks is a very good thing, I also believe that it's important for us to realize that if I'm going to avoid one food, I'm going to actually substitute it with other things that ultimately over time can cause a problem for us. So it's just something to be aware of. There's other diets, the paleo diet, the 30-30 diet. There's lots of different diets out there that really focus in on having human beings eat more vegetation, be more vegetable eaters than meat eaters, and that's not necessarily a bad thing as well. Our bodies only have the ability to break down a certain amount of protein every day, about 60 grams, and most people get double that. And so working more towards a vegetarian diet in general for people is a good thing. Now, if you're athletic, if you've been very athletic in the past, you're actually going to need more dense protein than someone who has not been very athletic in their life. And so, depending on the stage of life that we're in, depending on how athletic we are, depending on our job and how stressful our job is, and how physical our job may be, or how mental our job may be, also there's indications for foods. Making sure that the body has enough protein to work on. Doesn't mean it's gluten protein, doesn't mean it's wheat protein. There's lots of different ways to get protein into the system, and depending, again, on what you're doing every single day, will have a big effect on how much protein you actually need in your system. So, generally, what are good diets? Good diets are diets that have the color of the rainbow on the plate. Lots of different colors. Not everything is white. We're getting away from the heavy gluten wheats. There are wheat out there that are called heritage wheat. They're products that are made with heritage wheat, which is the older wheat, which is more the ancient wheat. And some of your ancient grains are actually relatively easy to digest, and you get a lot of protein out of them. Amaranth, quinoa are both very good grains that will give us protein and all the amino acids we need for the day. It's a long chain of protein, so it takes a long time for our body to break it down. It gives us energy throughout the day, and that can be very beneficial. And again, having a lot of variety on the plate in regards to color, because when you get a lot of colors on the plate, you're getting those antioxidants, and you're getting all the vitamins and minerals that as much as we can from the food that we're eating. One of the reasons that the industry and science has taken wheat specifically and continued to modify it and get it to have that high yield ability, not just in their protein, but in the ability to take an acre and get as much as you can out of that. The reason that is done is because of the lack of nutrients that are actually in the soil at this point. Most of the soil has been robbed of the minerals that are very important for the absorption of vitamins into our body. And so for a very long time, a lot of industry has been able to put vitamins on the shelf. And you need multivitamins and all these different vitamins. Well, the truth is, if we're minerally deficient, then you're not absorbing vitamins anyway. So the most important thing we can do is really supplement minerals. Make sure that the food we're getting is on some level of ancient origin. Not having it modified so very much to the point where it survives in the field, but we can't really digest it. And so when it comes to this idea of diet, and what's the best diet, it's almost impossible to answer that, save for the idea that you need to find out what is the best diet for you as an individual. Yes, 50, 60, 70% veggies. Dr. Rao talks about working yourself somewhere to the point of 50% raw vegetables in our diet over a period of time. And then certain things should be done in the morning. For instance, if you're going to do any kind of fruit or even fruit juice, it should be done in the morning, and really afternoon we should not get any fruit or fruit juices in the system. It causes great acidity in the body. It's hard for the system to deal with that, but in the morning a little bit is okay. Throughout the day, vegetables, especially if you want to eat raw vegetables, that's the best time to do it. And then at night you want to make sure that you're cooking all your food, and it's the lighter fare of the whole day because you're taking stress off the digestive system. We digest the best in the middle of the day, and you want to take that stress off as we go into the evening. So eating dinner at 6, 7, 8, even sometimes 9 o'clock at night is really difficult for the system, hard on the body. We want to try and eat relatively early. We want to try and eat relatively light on that last meal of the day. And I know that's backwards for most Western folks. You know, yes, we want that big breakfast, want a nice big lunch, and then dinner. Dinner is something relatively small and always cooked as far as I'm concerned. It takes bigger stress off your digestive system. So, can we really answer, hey, what's the best diet out there? I don't think so. I think the individual has to figure that out for themselves, and it's real easy to say, of course, we're going to avoid the processed foods, we're going to avoid additives and colors and all the packaged and processed things. And if you just do that, if you just find that you no longer tear open a pouch or open a can or tear into a box to have a meal, then you're really ahead of the game. We're looking to eat foods that are real foods, that are whole foods, that are alive foods. Foods that if you cut them up on the counter and let them sit for a few hours, they start to turn brown. You want foods that have energy in them and minerals in them. And like anything else today, of course, because of the soil, you want to supplement your minerals and really find a good mineral supplement and go on and off of them and change them as we go. Same thing with our foods. Variety is the key to health. Variety is the key to health, and not locking yourself into a small little portion of what we consider to be your diet. So I hope this was helpful today. I hope it makes you think a little bit about what am I doing with my diet, become more conscious about food, and realize that diversity, as far as I'm concerned, diversity and thinking about it a little bit and understanding what we're eating and why we're eating it and taking the time to actually engage in our food and have a relationship with food and realize that it's one of the most important things we do throughout our day is feed our physical and energetic body. It's the most important thing we do all day. And yet for most of us, we're stuffing stuff down as we go. We're doing it in the car, and we're racing around just to get some kind of food into our belly. When really it should be a primary moment throughout our day. A couple of times a day, we should really take that moment, take that time, and sit down and engage with our food and realize that when we're eating our food, we're nourishing our body, and that will go a long way for helping our health. Thanks a lot for stopping in today. Check out our new vlogs coming up, and we'll talk to you real soon. Be healthy.